My parents told me to go live in the streets at Thanksgiving. They didn't know I earned $25 million. Can you believe that? My own flesh and blood telling me, their son, to be homeless, to fend for myself on the cold, unforgiving pavement, all because I didn't fit their narrow, outdated vision of success. Was I wrong for what I did next? Tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing if your family, the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, turned their backs on you in the cruelest way imaginable? I still replay that scene in my head, the harsh words, the glares, the sheer disbelief that etched itself onto my face. It was Thanksgiving of all days, a day meant for gratitude, for family, for warmth and togetherness. But for me, it became the day my family disowned me, unknowingly sealing their own fate. Let me take you back to the beginning, to understand how we even got to that point. I grew up in a household where money was everything. My parents, particularly my father, were obsessed with appearances, with status, with the illusion of success. My dad was a successful, if somewhat ruthless, real estate developer. My mom, a former socialite, dedicated her life to maintaining the family's image, hosting lavish parties, and ensuring we always had the latest luxury cars in the driveway. From a very young age, my brother, Mark, and I were groomed to follow in my father's footsteps. We were sent to the best private schools, enrolled in every extracurricular activity imaginable that would look good on a college application, and constantly reminded of the family legacy we were expected to uphold. Mark, being the older brother, was the golden child. He excelled in everything, effortlessly conforming to my parents' expectations. He got into an Ivy League university, studied business, and seamlessly transitioned into a high-paying corporate job right after graduation. My parents beamed with pride, showcasing him like a trophy. And then there was me. I was different. From the moment I could hold a crayon, I was drawing. From the moment I could string words together, I was creating stories. My mind was always buzzing with ideas, with concepts, with a desire to build things, not with bricks and mortar, but with code. I was fascinated by technology, by the internet, by the endless possibilities of the digital world. While Mark was poring over business journals, I was dismantling old computers, teaching myself to code, and dreaming of creating something truly revolutionary. My parents, of course, saw this as a frivolous hobby, a distraction from my real future. Computers are for nerds, son, my dad would say, dismissing my passion with a wave of his hand. You need to focus on something practical, something that will make you money, like real estate. My mom would chime in, darling, there's no money in those silly games. You need to network, to build connections, to secure a future in a respectable field. They tried to steer me towards finance, towards law, towards anything that promised a hefty paycheck and social standing. I tried to explain my vision, my belief that technology was the future, that I could build something truly impactful. They just didn't get it. They saw it as childish, as a phase I would eventually outgrow. The tension grew exponentially when it came time for college. I had received a scholarship offer from a prestigious university known for its computer science program, a program I was incredibly excited about. My parents, however, had already decided where I was going, the same Ivy League as Mark, to study economics, just like him. They had already paid the deposit, already announced it to all their friends. When I tried to tell them about the scholarship, about my passion for computer science, they exploded. My father accused me of being ungrateful, of trying to undermine his authority. My mother cried, saying I was embarrassing the family. In the end, I caved. I went to the Ivy League, I enrolled in economics, and I was miserable. I spent my nights in the computer labs, secretly working on my projects, teaching myself advanced coding languages, and networking with other tech enthusiasts online. During the day, I went through the motions, feigning interest in subjects that felt utterly alien to me. I managed to maintain good grades, mostly out of spite, to prove I could do it, but my heart wasn't in it. After graduation, the expectation was that I would join a major investment bank or a prestigious consulting firm. My parents had already lined up interviews, already bragged to their friends about my impending success. But I had other plans. During my final year, I had been working on a groundbreaking AI-powered platform designed to streamline data analysis for small businesses. It was a complex, ambitious project, but I believed in its potential. Instead of taking the corporate route, I decided to dedicate myself to my startup. I politely declined all the job offers, much to my parents' fury. "What do you mean, you're not taking the job?" my father bellowed, his face red with anger. "Are you mad? This is a six-figure salary, son. This is what we worked for." My mother was equally distraught. "All those years, all that money we spent, for you to chase some pipe dream. What will people say?" I tried to explain my vision, the potential of my platform, the investors I was already talking to. They scoffed. "Investors? What investors? Are you talking about those internet scams?" My dad sneered. "You're going to end up a penniless failure, just like all those other tech junkies." They gave me an ultimatum: get a real job, or they would cut me off completely. I chose my dream. For the next few years, I lived a very different life from what my parents envisioned. I poured every ounce of my energy, every penny of my savings into my startup. I lived in a small, cramped apartment, ate ramen noodles most nights, and worked 80-hour days. My parents, meanwhile, would occasionally call, not to check in on me, but to gloat about Mark's latest promotion or his new luxury car. They would subtly or not so subtly hint at my failure, at how I was wasting my potential. "You know, Mark just bought a house in the Hamptons." My mom would say, "Such a shame you're still stuck in that tiny apartment, dear." I never told them about my progress. I never told them about the small victories, the major breakthroughs, the growing interest from venture capitalists. I wanted to build my empire in silence, to prove them wrong on my own terms. My platform slowly but surely gained traction. We secured angel investments, then series of funding, and finally, Series B. Our user base exploded, and the revenue started pouring in. I was working tirelessly, but I was also building something incredible, something that was genuinely changing the way small businesses operated. My net worth grew exponentially, but I kept it a secret from my family. I knew they wouldn't understand. They would only see the money, not the passion, not the years of sacrifice, not the innovation. And honestly, a part of me enjoyed the irony of it all. They thought I was a failure, while I was quietly becoming a multi-millionaire. This brings us to this past Thanksgiving. Every year, my parents hosted a lavish Thanksgiving dinner, a grand affair attended by relatives, business associates, and family friends. It was always a show, a display of their wealth and status. I usually tried to avoid it, but this year, my mom had called me personally, practically begging me to come. "It's important, darling," she had said, her voice laced with an unusual urgency. "Your Aunt Susan is in town, and she's been asking about you." I reluctantly agreed. I drove to their sprawling mansion, a place that now felt strangely alien to me. The moment I walked in, I was met with the familiar coldness, the judgmental stares. Mark was there, of course, impeccably dressed, holding court with a group of admiring relatives. He gave me a condescending nod, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. My parents greeted me with a strained politeness, their eyes scanning my modest attire, clearly disapproving. The dinner itself was a predictable affair. Everyone was talking about their latest achievements, their expensive vacations, their children's successes. My parents, naturally, steered the conversation towards Mark, detailing his latest promotion, his impressive stock options, his plans to buy another investment property. Then the inevitable happened. My Aunt Susan, a sweet but overly inquisitive woman, turned to me. "So, dear, what have you been up to? I hear you're still working on those computer things." My parents exchanged a look, a subtle eye roll passing between them. My father cleared his throat. "Well, Susan, he's still dabbling in that hobby of his. We've tried to get him to see reason, to pursue a more stable career, but he's quite stubborn." My mother added, "It's a shame, really, all that potential wasted on something so uncertain. We keep telling him there's no money in it." The room fell silent, all eyes on me. I felt a familiar flush of anger rise within me, but I tried to remain calm. "Actually," I began, my voice steady, "my hobby is doing quite well. We just secured a major round of funding, and our user base has grown by over 300% this quarter." My father let out a dismissive laugh. "Funding, user base, son, those are just buzzwords. What's your salary? What's your net worth? Are you living in a mansion like your brother? Are you driving a luxury car?" So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let them continue to belittle you, to invalidate your hard work and success, or would you have finally revealed the truth, knowing it would likely shatter their carefully constructed world? I looked around the table at their smug faces, their judgmental eyes. My brother was smirking, enjoying my discomfort. My parents were practically beaming, confident in their moral superiority. And in that moment, something snapped. All the years of their dismissiveness, their constant criticism, their refusal to acknowledge my intelligence and drive, it all came flooding back. I took a deep breath. "Actually, Dad," I said, my voice cutting through the silence, "my salary is quite good. In fact, in the last 3 weeks alone, I've earned over $25 million. The air in the room seemed to freeze. Forks clattered against plates. Jaws dropped. My father's face, which had been red with indignation, suddenly went pale. My mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Mark's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of utter disbelief. "25 million," my father stammered, his voice barely a whisper. What are you talking about?" I smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. "My company, Innovate Tech, the one you always called a silly game and a pipe dream, just closed a major acquisition deal. We were bought out by a major tech conglomerate for a substantial sum. My shares, combined with my founder's bonus, put my personal earnings from that deal at just over $25 million. I paused, letting the information sink in. "And that's just the recent earnings, Dad. My net worth has been steadily climbing for years, while you all assumed I was struggling." The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the rapid breathing of my parents and brother. Their faces were a mixture of shock, confusion, and a dawning realization that they had fundamentally misjudged me. My father, always quick to recover, finally found his voice, though it was now laced with a strange mixture of awe and resentment. Why didn't you tell us?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. "Why did you let us believe you were failing?" I met his gaze, my eyes cold. "Because you never cared about my success, Dad. You only cared about your own definition of it. You never supported my passion, you only ridiculed it. You told me I was wasting my time, that I would end up on the streets. You disowned me not once, but repeatedly in your words and in your actions. I stood up, pushing my chair back with a scrape that echoed in the quiet room. You told me to go live in the streets. Well, consider this me doing just that. Only, my streets come with a private jet, a portfolio of successful businesses, and the satisfaction of knowing I built it all without a single shred of your approval. I looked at my mother, whose eyes were now brimming with tears. You worried about what people would say. Well, now they'll say your son is a multi-millionaire, and you treated him like trash. I turned to Mark, who was still staring at me, his face a mask of envy and disbelief. And you, big brother, enjoy your Hamptons house. I'm sure it's lovely. I walked out of that mansion, leaving behind a stunned silence and a Thanksgiving dinner that had turned into a funeral for their assumptions. I never looked back. In the weeks that followed, my parents tried to reach out. They left voicemails filled with apologies, with attempts to mend fences, with desperate pleas for me to return to the family fold. I ignored them all. My brother, Mark, even tried to invest in one of my future ventures, hoping to cash in on my success. I politely, but firmly, declined. I knew their newfound interest wasn't about genuine reconciliation, but about the money, about the status, about trying to reclaim a piece of the son they had so readily dismissed. I moved forward with my life, focused on my work, on building new relationships, and on enjoying the freedom and fulfillment that came with true independence. I bought myself a beautiful home, invested wisely, and continued to innovate. My company flourished, and I became a respected figure in the tech world. The sting of their words still lingers sometimes, a reminder of the pain they inflicted. But it's also a powerful motivator, a testament to the fact that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply living your best life, proving your worth not to those who doubted you, but to yourself. So, that's my story. It's a harsh one, a painful one, but ultimately a story of triumph. It's a reminder that family doesn't always mean unconditional love, and sometimes you have to cut ties to truly thrive. I learned that true success isn't about status or wealth, but about pursuing your passion, building something meaningful, and staying true to yourself, even when the people closest to you tell you you're wrong. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been told your dreams were foolish, then you know exactly how I felt. Like this video if you were on my side, if you think I made the right choice. Subscribe for more stories like this, stories of overcoming adversity and finding your own path. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I want to hear what you would have done. I'll see you all in the next story.